Nonsia ena boy aha eye onua TV so abusuafo yamahwefo nyina ajo ene enwumrei ensama hodo aye de nam sa enwumre nonsia kasebo ne braso amede eba besumwe obetumi aka ye ho ewo Facebook onua TV so na wahwe kasebo kroye bi ewo ho ensama hodo ena enwumre ye de nam sa kasebo ne so akahye bi ene se for ama wo muso kyerese bosumi a yebesimu ewa afia eye komu no na kyerese ne de toso edu enkron wo mo besan aba na wo betena se ebiem
Ona ya samankese no ofisu le ofisu this owo this is another friend no for sure ma
Yebeko asamankase na mentime ho ase ama ne ho so wa hensem emui enei wopani a woye chief of staff edema asamankase hene edensem atudwa edafa ahini no Ghana mampani na adodan kwakufu ado edi atudwa kyerese auditors ahodo amoa mansimu nyina no mommo ho so se de ebeya sika dosopu a eminu kro no yebetumi asi ano kwan Yefi hona yetwa bosompoko enkrofo amanso arehosem a efri mu eba ene se do ani chemu ewo Philippines a ene nipa makoma akwa hasan adioson enum ene tim krana na wato anananom ewo ensie no Busiafo yemfrika se bonase ewo mampani na adodan kwakufu ado na tena ye na wode atudwa wasantemantem kyerese auditors ahodo omo mansi ahodo nyina mu no wo mo hwe se obebo wo ho so no waye adwumaden ede aboa se o my Ghana sikadoso pu a ye hwere ewo abra wonom eye wo adwuma mu ebekọ na akoba se nipa bia na se adwumakuo bi sika ebefa won sase no wanya adwumaden se beye betumi atuatuasa entokro ni nyina mampani chemu se ya na mpepi no ha adwen se ebra ye behwere sika bia na se sika bi befa adwumakuo bi ensase no gise auditor general report anase empo no abedwaku omo na emrahye bedwafie wototo sa nipa ano na de ho nsem beba betudwa enyaade se etwayie
Omampani editudwa ekiremu ese Oko a oman Ghana yeswai ekretasehye ene proye eso no si betumi adi nkunim di a na ese fata sensentrofo ene woni wo sensem wo no wo ye wadwuma yi
We cannot afford to have auditors that will be complicit in the malfeasance they are expected to prevent. And certainly, we do not need incompetent auditors. From what is euphemistically termed petty corruption to what is called grand corruption, the truth is that corruption thrives when no one is checking.
Openi Johnson ekuamwa esiedu ono ena ye auditor general enso ekire se na so na ye krado pa se mwa bi ro de beboa ensentrofo ama okwan yeswai e wokreta sehye ne proyeso no ebetumi di nkunim no wo de be ma wo.
Under your able leadership, you have helped transform the audit service, and now we have been put in a position poised to take the fight.
Yemfio na yenko Ghana emrahye bedwafie na yene mo kasa die wa ma wo muso kyerese wo kwa homegye mu na afei yedi bronya wi abosomi a edi kan ewo afia ye kwa akosi mu no ne da etoso edu nwotwe mu nyina bese abehiem ewo nkran ha Ghana emrahye bedwafie na wabobo Ghana ho na afei wo mo afadwen se de be ya Ghana betumi etu empon na enrada na dwodasuo mu wabra wobobo ensem ho matwede etu wieye na afei wonom ebre enema ase na wo ma wo muso no ena edom dodo no ba no dani ena fei odom kuma no so ba no dani mu nyina ede etu dwama eka ho bie e ma cha mehina be de achiru Joseph Osewusu eso ede tato che sese de wo ma wo muso na wakọ na general bosome ne de etoso edunwotwe no o masan abehiem e wo mrahye bedwafie.
We adjourned the House yesterday and we indicated to ourselves that we'll be reconvening here at 9. We've been waiting all this while, making necessary calls, but thus far, nothing responsive. And I think where we are, if we take an adjournment, it will allow cooler heads to come back to this house, and then we can then come back to continue the transaction of business in a much more serene environment. It's important that we carry the country along, and we need to demonstrate to the country that our democracy is growing and will not suffer some of the unacceptable sins and spectacles we've witnessed on the floor. Mr. Speaker, the leader have suggested, I only can concur, that you adjourn the House Senate for further consultation on the outstanding issue.
The motion for adjournment has been moved and seconded. All in favor of the motion say aye. All against say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The House is accordingly adjourned sine die.
Yedaswa ewo emrahye bedwafie koba ne sei na wama wo musuo se wo kwa akodi bronya na general bosome de toso du nwotwe wasan aba no edom dodo no ba no dani eyonmunyamfo sei cheme nsabonsu saa so ena akodom kuma na fa rohara na idrisu ene de wonom animu a wo mu nyina ene sentwefo atwetwe nkomo ede afa dwumadi a na wonom edie ya nei wagina so ama wo musuo se wokọ na afia besimu no wasan aba yi.
We are unresolved, unequivocally, that we will not support it in its current form, character, and nature. And yesterday, I sought to explain to you, ladies and gentlemen of the media, President Nana Addo Dankwa himself and the Minister of Finance do not even understand what they are doing. When you say that telecos have agreed to lower their charges by 0.25%, ask yourself, 0.25% of what? Because the telecos were not charging any legalized levy to begin with. 2 is MTN, which has this P2P, person-to-person transfer, which was at 1% at one end, 1% at the other end. Ghanaians must be adequately informed that this tax even means 3.75% e-levy. It's not going to be 1% because currently Vodafone doesn't charge any percent. So if you don't even have, if you say MTN 1%, they've lowered 0.25. What about the other telecos? But more importantly, Ghanaians must understand that President Akufo-Addo doesn't understand the taxes introducing. MTN charges on fees, not transactions. Not transactions. There is a mark of difference between charges on fees, even levies on fees, and charges and levies on transactions. Use yourself as a good example. Your auntie in New York sends you $200 US. That works up to 1,200 Ghana cedis. You give 1,000 of it to him. He gives 800 to him. He gives 600 to her. She gives 400 to him. He gives 200 to him. You pay e-levy on each of these transactions.
He's a member of parliament representing the people of Bekwai. He represents a constituency. And so when the constitution provides that before a decision is taken, we should have a minimum of 1/2 of members of parliament present in the chamber, he, the speaker, should be counted as a member of parliament, therefore as the quorate number to make the determination. That's what he said. Yes, the speaker did not say that even though he's a member, he's not going to vote. He didn't say that. You are just adding that for whatever reason. I don't want to believe that it's for mischief purposes. But the speaker did not say that. Subsequently, when he responded to whether or not he voted, he said he didn't vote. He did not participate in the voting. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have the right to vote. Because you see, once you have the correct number for making a determination, right? 130 plus, 138 plus. The members who form the quorum to take a decision may not all of them be required to participate in the voting. So somebody could say that I'm abstaining from voting, but he's part of the minimum number required to take the vote. You appreciate that? So that if you have 138 people in the chamber, with the speaker counting as a member of parliament, and therefore as part of the correct number to make a decision, and you had for a question 70 members voting for yes, and maybe 8 of them saying that they're abstaining, right? And then let's assume that 60 vote against. The 70 people would have made a decision for the entire parliament. So that is the distinction that the speaker made. Yesterday, he said that I'm a deputy speaker. I cannot be deprived of my vote. I'm entitled to vote. So when it comes to voting, I could take part in the voting. That's what he said. The two statements are not the same. So you should probe the context and don't ascribe words to the speaker, the first deputy speaker, which words he had not said. That's the distinction that I want to make.
The next question.
So that's the distinction. And that is what the speaker said. And I've told you that in all jurisdictions, speakers, even substantive speakers, who are members of parliament are not precluded by any constitutional or rules of procedure provisions to participate in the voting in the House.
Yemfi wane yamesin ko epoye mantemu na chief of staff edema asamankase hene osabarima edu dakon ede atudwa HSC besise ne ya yene mo ekesei osabarima edu dakon na emramu ene amamre kwaso no wadaso a eye ohene awo asamankase a emfa ho ene de nra ekoso nyina no wono ene daso edi hene a bibia entwitwa na kwanu ne mo kesei asamankase ahimfie adwobrɛw aba ewo hono a Posi mu rempim asiedu IGP George Akufu Dampare ede nani achemu ewo ho sede ebeya wono ankasa ede nani krotwawisi ebekọ akọhwe na afensu no wahu de ekọ sopoten ewo edwada ede no mu ewo eda edwada ena ekuo foforo a wonom ejidi se wo nso edi ade yeye ewo asamankese eya amamre ene amane na wodi nipa foforo esi edwaso se wono ena eye asamankese ehene dwumadie no ekọ na wiye no na enipa ahodo na ena afemu aprepra na afensuso no aposifo abomode nso achichi nipa no bia na osusu se woye basabasa ye ewudwumadie emu eka ho bi ema edwada no a wahempopra wono ena eda achim abua kwa nananom atankonwa asase no so ochihene osagefo amuatia ofuripani editudwa ekyerese Sedmadi ekoso asamankase eda dwada no eyade a emfa emrakwan mu sanso ena wonom enyintum ewo ebua kwa nananom atankonwa asase no so wodi atudwa HSA enipa wodi no esi ade so eda dwada so wonom ena enkoye asamankase hene no enya ade se wonom egi no etum ensemu nyina akiri no chief of staff edema osabarima edudakon egi bre echeche ensemu edekye nsentwefo
and now, and I give you a bath. And I didn't know about what happened to Russia was a come on. Russia will come on. I'm a Pia to be this as a passenger. The Ghana pony. Samantha Saponi. You ever saw it, Basabasa, you get the Samana Manano. And the other catcher. What would do with Father Kaye? Nancy Lubin. And actually,
Yemfree epoye mantemu na yensamra enkrekupon emu na mantemu musoafo eyura Henry Cotti wode atudwa HSE ewo general bosomeni da edikan mu ewo afia yekwasi mu no obefura ase na enhyehyɛ sonko aban yese de ebeya obi abia wote wo mpatamu ani wani mu betumi edi honi no wo befura ase de sa emra no de aye adwuma ewo enkran wa bra wo ya amamre ene amane na afi watwa ahomamu na wafiri bronya no ase no na opani ebosa amane
Wafiko, the long and short is that For a bylaw to be effectively implemented, it is imperative that we give a grace period for sensitization, education, and much information to disseminate to the public. And this is what we are doing. By 31st January 2022, the grace period for Operation Clean Your Frontage would have elapsed. And effective 1st January 2022, the enforcement of the bylaws will commence. It is my conviction that we will all put our shoulders to the wheel to ensure a smooth takeoff and enforcement of the law. Please be reminded that we are not implementing the law to victimize our citizens, but to ensure Accra works again in a green and clean environment. With the Christmas festivities fast approaching, let us remind ourselves of the carnage and indiscipline that are perpetrated on our roads. Let me use this occasion to humbly appeal to everyone here to be careful when applying our roads. Let me sing dirges instead of jingle bells.
Yeko apomde ho ensemu na so ye hwe Ghana apomde ho nsem so de atodwa ekyese wonom eye nhyehyeye sede ebeya obetumi ede covid empane no akọ amanfo no aboboa no na womo awobie ede abo ho ban ede free covid-19 yare no emu wopani a wono ene yeso afọ hwe Ghana apomde ho nsem so kwakwa gimamanu ebo amane ya na eye bra wonom ede ahyen Land Cruisers mako be se du ede ema asoye se be obetumi de aboa na wode empane no akokọ enkronkro ahodo a ewose wode ekoso se be ya amanfo betumi enya those with 2 doses are less than 10% of the population. We're initially looking at 70% of our population. Where we're not getting vaccines, we scale down to a target of 60% of the population by end of December. These vehicles are going to support us to distribute the vaccines across the length and breadth of this country. We have standard refrigerators fitted in these pickups, and we are distributing these to our regions that will take the vaccines to our medical stores, various parts of the country. Very hard to reach areas there where vehicles cannot go. We are using drone technology to deliver our vaccines. And just to complete what we call our last mile distribution chain, that we take our vaccines and essential medical products to the last person who will use these vaccines and other medicines in times of need, and very quickly to them. Vaccines are said that if you take them out of your fridge and you don't store them in a very cold area, they go bad in a very short time. That is what we wanted to try to avoid. We targeted not to waste more than 5% of our vaccines. But with this, I believe we might not get to that level. We'll be able to utilize virtually 100%. Yet was na yankwa asante mantemu na bronya epempen su be ba se ya na enipa bonfo so aye wad pa ene ona ma de otubotom no otubotom de wo bie bag mu wo bie sa akro no nketenkete ne ade na eno na akọ asante mantemu amantam no posi mpanifo aba na ye kyese enei wode enhyehye nyina agwakwam a wode ebebo ase de be ya wo bebo enkwa ene agapade eho ban wabra ye bo aye ho na yakodi bronya no mu ene na chi nyina se be ya amanfo so ho betumi ato wonom ye nu aba Beatrice Biogabra abomoden ene kasa for edema santimentemu posi adwuma no eye owura ASP Godwin ahianyo atwetwe enkomo a wode ensemu yi esomye
afi anu hia se ya nipa bebre eba krom omoba krom no so nti na bone so edoso ebra ye ba bedi bronyen ye ni Ashanti Regional Police PRO ebedi nkomo ebisa on se command no eden e na omo ye se be ya temamufu a ye wa Asante mantem hanom sei ye betimi edi embronya no e wa asomdwem a ye nkonkoto aboneyefo ensem
ye commander ye oba ye ni David Chuba no se da bi sane akrono e koso Ashanti un se bebre na di motorbikes ne geto for no na ya sabi omo ko shiwi na de na no ma babontin be yes obebo krona de ti ade nti na yen conduct soup sense to om so sa na yen to ase tero na ya itu on so sa me ka se sisi aye ka se de krono ebo Ashanti region abafo we koso aye edwuma oba kwantimpo no so aye patrol team de ka highway patrol go kwan no so road we ho a ye wo visibility eye patrol for ebi di motorbike from Rovers omonso e di motorbikes no enam kwan no so ensure say obi ankofole victim to these criminals. What about residential so na your vehicular patrols are then and residential areas measures I did go to ensure say we have crime-free Christmas festivities.
abusuafo yɛntwe ho na yɛnkɔgye nkrato yɛmra yɛba yɛbɛkɔ adwadie ensɛm. abusuafo yema ahwefo nyina akwa abade ba nwumre no nsia kase boso onu TV so sabre ye monwura mu ewo adwade ensemu na wopani ba ko a wodi koten pa ewo se emofra ebetumi ediye ewo omaimu eye Ernest Nobin aboaje wode atudwa esese ganafo nyina monye adom sade ebeya mobetumi aboa na ebra no sei nkanka ye bedi bronya sei no mobetumi amasede abehye emofra wonni bie enyanka ene ade no wo mo afunu ma mame Ernestina Nobin aboaje de nsemu atudwa na eye ganafo nyina ene wode etu yanim sade ebeya betumi aboa na wono ma eni bie nsusu no wo mo so anim atumi abanyam
bronya eye bra ye cheniema a enye niema nko a na emom ye tutu ye nsase na yakobia ya mobrofo wo na yakoye omadoye ebi mu wote bia bi mu a bronya anigye omuntimi nyibi enu so nti ena eduru bronya bra ewo so omo a omo wo bie no etwa omo ani hwe omo a omo ni bie sansemi hu nti ena executive assistant Emma Street Children Empowerment Foundation Ernestina Obin Aboaje atotosre empanimfo say osre won a omunto omani enhwe won a woni bie ewo ye potem se ne be ya bronya yi omonsu ani beje
kwano malaini up na ebinko school no after we ne ensiwa yesa back ebe hwehwe bi mu a omani abrese ompesom de omuko school ne de omuko school obi e di Christmas obi ane ne me di Christmas January so obi ade ne babeko school inti no yanhwe se yanhwe enkrai se ya ma anka afia so si ebepe bibia mo medi next year so afia ebesi mi enkrai ko school ebepe se obi ababeko school ti yes adofunum se omo hwe ade efei aye touch life omkrofo eni age omombo
enkwada bi mu a omonenam street so entimi amfo omonije ensi abra oma omu ennuane ene hampa ahodo
abusuafo sabre de yekọ agudie mu ensemu na Daniel nana kwame yebo a aye krado ewo ha menkọ ne nche na afei yenkọ hwede ekoso ewo agudie mu ensemu Abusuafo yenko agudie mu ensemu na sabredi Daniel nana kwa me yebo a Dani the drink water aye krado yenko enkotie de ekoso na de di kan krado Dani ya te se coach Milo wode nipa bi dia betu dwa se omo na afcon no yedi mu aduonu enwotwe ebekọ akopie mu ewo afcon no hwan no na odi tumi pie mu
kwam sise we pie mu a Milovan ede nipa makomako 30 players makomako 30 din na betu dwa aduasa na betu dwa se na odi kan kan be hwehwan so am na beka aduonu nwotwe 28 na yedi akorom ewo afcon hye no sise we be my captain of the side the Black Stars of Ghana Anji de ayu ni din timi pie oni nwa Jordan ono so edin ewo mu bi abrante e frɛ no Kamal Din Suleiman a ono si akan de ma Rene abrante no so edin wo ma fe so Chelsea ni abrante Abaraman enso edin meeting pem about set abrante fe na Abdul Fatah Ishaku a si akan de ma Dreams FC ono so din etimi be pie ma ono bo local side na Kwame surprisingly na new entries by debutant on my players makomako e nan omo de Black Star no omo ko bi da kra abrante David Abagna Sandan esi akan edema RTU and in prempren Ghana Premier League ni ma ono ni player washe goals do 8 goals na washe in 9 games 1 assist abrante no you good esi akan edema RTU afin so abrante fe na Abdul Munin esi akan edema Victoria Grammars or Portuguese league nim abrante Sales Abdul Salid esi akan edema Clermont ono French league anim ono esi akan edema Clermont honom na abrante Maxwell Abekwe ono so esi akan edema Kwagre Olympics ono so ashe 7 goals in the Ghana Premier League currently ono esi akan edema nti we ni new players are omo esi akan Milo squad or the code.
Na chese mu nan no mienu akoye strikers.
Maxwell Abi striker Abdul Abrante FN Abagna and so midfielder Hona midfielder back Abrante Salis na defender Abrante Abdul Munin Joseph Prince bounce back ABC akan dey team we any players makomako we mu kan players makomako aduasa Milovan aton sande amon
nti ye kan say ye kan no wo hwa coach no de din no ebetu dwane ade no owogidie se we mu ne squad on betumi akwaje afọ no de amagana
and central for ekopie mu ewo Ghana Football Association aso ye bisa ne say coach ene yes na ke tse the 40-man squad we hwan so about 30 na we hwan 30 no ye ko afcon no so a ye di 28 na eko na se covid aba opira bi wo mu ni ade na nka unya 40 anka ye osida bi ono de onim se mante no de omo kono over 41 years a ye ntime nyi trophy no ombeje e de mantie coach Milovan ne se mo di to Jabra for Bisani, so GDA or squad name.
About individuals, whether somebody is in the list or out of the list, we can talk the whole day, but this is the list. This is my decision, and I don't think I should explain every person here why he's here or why somebody is not. I have full faith in all my players, even in some players who are not here. So this is the decision at this moment. So. I don't think I should explain individually, and this would be a mistake, you know. So these players are selected now, and it doesn't mean that some other players will not step in at some moment and join the team. So this is my principle now, because if we start doing this, we can talk for a whole day, which is, you know, doesn't have any point.
Kwame me sure say ene wati Milovan na numutu we should do match no ato numutu so ogidie say place meet me yadwo
nti okọ na say entimi ama na ye holding responsible
ya che ne say onko ye mrameje $300,000 otimi we need entimi sure say dana dwumpa so be kwa beje
na players ben na omudia pie mu e wo squad ni ma ase amam for Ghana for the kasa omo je o we de nkeni kwan say didi kura pie mu ni ade
Kwame good question pa Abrante Philemon Bafo or right back at the Dreams FC under 20 tournament e call Mauritania no Abrante ne ko ne mo so ani ye pa so ya friend several times akọ Black Star da bia onya kwanya ensi akan nti questions amafo bi san say na dent ne yasan fa Abrante ibium isan say da bia
mo kra me hu ne performance
because na no ada sika kono bra no ye coach no Abrante no nanka right back bia ni ho ye kofa Abrante osi akan de ma Accra to folk as captain Fatah Mohammed ne be boy na no ada ye match ye kobo South Africa ni right back ye Daniel Amante on ye center back na Daniel right back nti Abrante no ho ye den don't only player questions by pa don't the
na ye hwe ye kan ye dey on be preparation kakra ansa na afcon no time aso atina renate saying wɔn bɛ free hada bɛn wɔn bɛ kɔ hefa nsakra no mo reme wɔ Cameroon.
Nti Black Stars itinerary ni e Ochinada and local players ni na edi omani eche Doha. Ochen 22nd December. Nti omo nya edi omani eche Doha eno e Qatar. Ukopie mu e hɔ ahye ne so se omo kuro mu Qatar 28th January. Jim represent also aduonu nwɔtwe. Omo bɛ bɔ friendly game. Omo ne Qatar selected side ena edi e bɛ bɔ ni omo GFA ntimi enemu team no. Afei nso ukopie mu ha January 1st. Na just a holiday on my Ghana mu na Black Star fo gyina kono. Omo bɔ friendly game. Eno no omo ne AFCON teams na ekoni bi. Two teams in Penifo name Sudan and Egypt and omo baako and no mebo sa January 1st game no. Na afei nso January 5th January visitor so enum ye ne Algeria defending champions a big friendly game pa. Ye ne omo so de bebo ani o January 5 no. And no sa game no na ye bo wie no 7 January ni Rem Cameroon. Na yakoko preparation for the tournament. It when itineraries are Black Stars for you see but 30th and no day I was here submitted 28 man squad at the Macaf.
Medasi Dani
Mr. Medasi.
Abusiafo yenua Bema Daniel Nana Kwame Yeboa ene de agudi mu nsem abesom ye ewa nwumre no nsia kasa ebo so sabre de ye twan ho na ya besen akonkrofo amanso. Abusiafo yentwa bosompo na yenko enkrofo amaso na sabre de wudi wani echimu ewo Philippine mine emu a amanebo efiri oba ene se nipa makoma hasan edioson enum 375 ene tim krana na wato anananom ewo nse do ne nyina eye enframa jampantrudu a efa ye na ekowi ase adan ebubu ye na asase wo so ka ho na akunkum amanfo ewo Philippine mine emu na wagina so abamane ede atodwa echese sa arohosem a esiye no wokọ miaye ahodo a wonom eho ka ye na enya de sesese no nkane akra wonom ewobie enmahoden nkane nyina asese saa nso so ena kwan a wonom efa so edi nkomo communication na no so atiko ya akoye hawpa ede ama wonom emiaye ne bi nso kra ewo honom a ensuo ho ayedene ede ama omo a aka ho bi ma atorenche mu aboafo efri oman no afa na nyina ede wani echemu ewo miaye ahodo a wonom eho koka adwamu ewo saa atorenche mu ewo Philippine man no se be ye obetumi akọ emoa. Abusiafo kasebo ni nyina esi ewo Onua TV so aseda sonko enkoma ye executive producer Matilda Haynes sanso ena kwaku entwi otu wonom a eboa no eye ekua afriye emefa sanso so ena womo nso so ahwe ekire woma bibia ekonkan Uncle Sam Mr. Boama ena afi Kelvin womo eboa ye ena mene ekon nso so ena ewo hanom a oboa ma cameras no ho niam nyina no bibia etoto yemidin ede rekopiesie Kwame Asante.